am not Toph, I am Melon Lord. Mwahaha. Okay, anyways, hey y'all. Sorry for the really weird intro. I'm doing this because I can. It's a Zuko X Reader one-shot, by Half-Blood Wizard 5-7 on Wattpad. Yes, I finally got Wattpad. Yes. This is gonna be my last video for like a while. I'll try to post more videos soon, but I have school and stuff, so yeah, okay. The Blue Spirit. Zuko X Reader one shot. You pulled your arms closer to your body as the wind blew stronger, sending chills down your spine. It was nearing midnight, and so the streets of Ba Sing Se were eerily empty, bare for the dim glow of lanterns that lined the walls. You were walking home from the antique shop where you worked. Closing up shop had taken a little longer than you anticipated. One particular customer simply needed to stay past closing time to pick the perfect antique table for their bedroom. You hoped their table was worth walking home in the dark, alone. You were almost home when you heard footsteps coming from behind you. Your heart began to thump in your ears. Your breathing became more erratic. You walked slightly faster, trying to assure yourself that they weren't following you. You were making this up. The footsteps sped up with your pace. You glanced over your shoulder to see 3 guys following you. One of the guys was holding something that glinted slightly from the glow of the lanterns. It was a knife. That sent a jolt of fear rippling down your body, and you quickened your pace even more, hoping that you couldn't make it to your house before those guys made it to you. You glanced back again, and they were gaining on you, fast. Then you ran. You only made it a few feet before one of the men grabbed your shirt and yanked you back. You tumbled onto the hard cobblestone, your head colliding with the unforgiving ground. Your vision gathered black spots, and your thoughts slowly became overtaken by a loud buzz. You could feel yourself being dragged backwards, and as your vision slowly began to clear, you realized you were being dragged into an alley. Though the drone that clouded your thoughts, you managed to realize that you needed to act now. You began to scream, but you were cut off by someone's hand to your mouth and a knife to your throat. "If you scream again, I'll slit your throat," they hissed harshly. You nodded, and they took their hand and the knife away. They picked you up by your shirt and stood you up on the wall, the brick rubbing harshly against your exposed skin. A tear fell from your eye, and one of the men wiped it away with their thumb. "Now don't cry, little kid," he said, and the other 2 men laughed. You squeezed your eyes shut. You wanted to be anywhere but here, anytime. "Please," you begged to whatever higher power was listening. Your eyes flew open when you heard a sound of metal falling onto the pavement. "Who's there?" called out one of the men, brandishing his knife. No one answered, but the swirling of the wind. "I'll go check. You 2 keep an eye on the kid." He walked out of the alley and turned the corner. Okay, by the way, you're not actually a kid. You're a full-grown whatever. I'm just using gender-neutral pronouns because I can. Anyways. He walked out of the... I think I already said that, but I'm gonna do it again. He walked out of the alley and turned the corner. It was silent for a moment, but then you heard a faint yell and what sounded like a metal clanging on metal. Then you watched as the man was thrown into the wall, screaming as he flew through the air. He crumpled onto the ground like a sack of potatoes. One of the men gave a battle cry and began running down the alley and turned the corner sharply. All you could hear was the sound of repeated punching and the occasional grunt. Your eyes widened as you saw a beaten and bloodied version of the man you just saw running down the alley, trying to crawl, but was drawn back. There was a dull thunk that sounded like the hilt of a sword hitting someone's head, then the sound of a body falling to the ground. The last man pulled out a knife, grabbing you off the wall and pulling you in front of him. He pressed the knife firmly to your neck, but you could feel your hand, that his hand was shaking. Come on now. Come out now, and I won't hurt them, the man said, his voice shaking more than his hand. From around the corner walked a man with a blue mask that grinned almost eerily. He was holding 2 swords, flecked with blood. The blue-masked man moved forward, but stopped when the man pressed the knife harder into your neck. You inhaled sharply through your nose and bit on your lip to keep from crying out. Don't move any closer, and drop those swords. The masked man, don't move any closer, and drop those swords. The masked man gently laid down his swords. Before you could even register anything, the masked man threw a knife hidden in his boots and struck the man holding you right through his temple. He toppled backwards and the knife he was holding clattered to the ground. You looked back at his body in shock and then back at the masked man. Thank you, you said. The masked man simply bowed his head at you. Then he ran off into the darkness and you were alone again. You managed to stumble all the way back to your house and laid right on your bed. You stared at the ceiling as the night's events replayed in your head over and over again. You tried to think of something else, but it was like it was blocked off. You were stuck. You lay awake the whole night. Every time you closed your eyes, you saw their faces, and their laughs echoed tauntingly in your ears. The sun drifted through your curtains, the light shining onto your blurry eyes. Groaning, you pulled yourself into a sitting position on your bed. Your whole head was pounding and your whole body ached. All that you wanted was a good oh my god, I can't speak. A good cup of tea to settle you down, but when you got up to look, you had none left. You decided that you would go to a place down the street which you heard had great tea. You got dressed and tried to make yourself look as presentable as possible before you made your way to the tea shop. Even with the sun hanging in the sky, the street still appeared ominous to you. Each basket could hold an armed man, and each alley reminded you of the night before. You shook your head, squeezing your eyes shut and breathing out to calm yourself down, then breathing in while opening your eyes again. You just have to make it to the tea shop, you assured yourself. With more self-prep talking, you were able to make it to the tea shop. I don't know how to pronounce that word, please don't come at me. The Pow family tea house. Just breathing in the aroma made the tenseness in your body melt away. You stepped into this shop and you were greeted by a nice old man who led you to your table. What kind of tea would you like? He asked cheerfully. Ginseng, please. Okay, please don't bully me if I get that wrong again. Thank you. He grinned and said, good choice. Ginseng tea is my favorite. My nephew will be back with your tea soon. Thank you, you said, and he left to prepare the tea. Soon after, a young man came out of the kitchen with a tray of tea in his hand. He handed out the tea to all of the other tables, the last cup of tea being you. When he came up to your table, he looked slightly surprised for a moment, but then caught himself and his face went back to a relaxed position. Here's your tea, he said, placing the tea on the table, and then he quickly turned around and began walking in the other way. You seem kind of familiar. Do I know you from somewhere? You asked. He reminded you of someone and you just couldn't place it. Judging from his reaction, he was surprised when he saw you. He probably knew you too. He turned around to face you again. What? No, I've never met you before. What are you talking about? He said in a nervous voice that suspiciously got higher than it was before. No, I'm sure I recognized you from somewhere, and you looked like you recognized me when you first saw me. The young man smiled awkwardly and said, Sorry, you must You must be mistaken. Enjoy your tea. Then he quickly walked away before you could even open your mouth to respond. Then you shrugged and began to enjoy your tea, which was better than any tea you've ever tasted before. Once you had finished your tea, you were feeling much better than you had last night. In fact, you were beginning to think going back to bed wasn't such a bad idea. You paid your bill, then left the tea shop, feeling much more relaxed than when you came in. You were beginning to walk home when you heard the old man and the young man from the tea shop talking from the window that led down the alley. You would have ignored, but then you heard two words that piqued your interest. Blue mask. You began walking closer so you could hear their conversation better. I'm telling you, Uncle, the girl knows. She was in the tea shop, the one that I saved last night from those thugs. I'm switching back to she or her pronouns because that's what I read. Okay, let go. The young man said in a worried voice. I wouldn't worry about it. You're wearing your blue mask, so she can't have possibly actually known who you are. The old man reassured him. Do you really think so? Yes, now go get that tea that table 3 ordered. That woman is not going to be very happy that it's taking this long. The young man sighed. Yes, Uncle. You were left stunned in an alley again. That man saved you and he wanted to hide it? Why? About 1,000,000 thoughts were racing through your head. I need to go back into that shop and thank him, you rationalized. You walked back into the shop and you were greeted by the old man again. Back here for some more tea? Actually, I'm here to see your nephew, you said, and the old man's expression changed to a more sly look. Oh, I see, he said, winking at you. Your face lit with the realization at what this man thought you meant, and you began to explain yourself when he cut you off. No need to explain yourself. He's in the back organizing some shelves. You opened your mouth to tell him why you were actually here, but you decided against it, closing your mouth and nodding your head at him thankfully, and then you made your way to the back. Iroh sighed and shook his head as he walked away. Young love. You walked down the hallway to where a door was open. You walked inside to see rows of shelves and the young man on a ladder putting more boxes on a shelf. Hello? You asked, and the young man jumped, dropping the boxes he was holding, and they came tumbling to the ground. He turned to see you and said, What are you doing back here? This is for employees only. Well, your uncle said that I could find you back here. The young man muttered under his breath some choice words about his uncle. He then climbed down the ladder and started picking up the boxes. Once he had them all in his arms again, he turned to you and said, I'm sorry, but I'm really busy. Maybe you could come back later and ask me your question then? He started to climb the ladder again when you asked, even if it's about last night when you saved me in that blue mask. He dropped the boxes again and whipped his head around to face you, completely in shock. I didn't save you last night. Who told you that? He said as he desperately tried to come up with some excuse. His face turned more serious. Whoever said that was lying. You looked at him dubiously. Well, you need to get your facts straight because that's not what you told your uncle just a couple of minutes ago. His shoulders fell and he looked defeated. You heard that? You nodded and he climbed down the ladder again. Why didn't you tell me it was you? He looked around the shelves as if looking for an answer. Well, not everyone agrees with what I do, and I don't want to ruin the life me and my uncle have built ourselves here. I'm sorry for not telling you. Your look softened, and suddenly you felt very guilty. No, I'm the one who should be sorry. You saved my life, and here I am, trying to ruin it. He smiled half-heartedly at you and picked the boxes up again. Well, I guess I have to get to work again. Oh, right, of course, and don't worry, I won't tell anyone about your secret. He nodded again and began climbing the ladder. You began leaving the room when you turned on your heel to face him. One last thing, you said, and he turned around again, looking slightly exasperated. Thank you. He smiled and nodded his head to say you're welcome. You then walked away, a small smile tugging on your lips, and you couldn't see it, but Zuko had one as well. You were finally able to walk back to your house and collapsed onto your bed, falling asleep almost immediately. It was going to take a lot of time and healing, but you felt you were going to be all right, and you had almost all of it owned to one blue spirit. So yeah, that was a Zuko X Raider one-shot by a Half-Blood Wizard 57. It was called Blue Spirit. Yeah, I said that at the beginning, but you probably don't remember. I'm talking to myself in a way. Actually, yeah, as I said, this is gonna be like my last post in a while. I'll try getting out a post every day, or like at least 2 times every week, maybe. I don't know. My whole schedule's gonna be whack because I have school starting tomorrow. So yeah, probably won't be posting as much. Yeah, we're almost like at 250 subs, and I'm like, that's practically half of 300 subs. So yeah. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed. Yeah, have a nice night, day, wherever you are. Also, do me a favor and please subscribe, because most of you who watch me aren't subscribed. So do me a favor and do that, please. Okay, thank you.